Well, I don't know if you could hear it there, but our own Shepard Smith was asking the question during last night's live press conference, why wasn't the Boston bombing suspect read his Miranda rights?
Well, it's true. He doesn't have the right to remain silent or the right to an attorney. Investigators did that on purpose. Why is that?
Aitan Goelman used to work for the Department of Justice prosecuting terrorists like Timothy McVeigh and Terry Nichols. So there are exceptions to the Miranda warning?
There are exceptions to the Miranda warning. Since the Miranda case in 1966, the Supreme Court has carved out a number of different exceptions where the police don't need to read the Miranda warnings to a suspect and can still introduce any statements that the suspect makes into evidence.
Do you believe this situation warrants that exception?
I actually do not. I think that the government is taking a chance by deciding to go ahead and interview the suspect, the future defendant, without reading his Miranda rights. The exception that they are citing is the public safety exception.
Yep.
It's from a 1984 case where a suspect was arrested after putting a loaded gun somewhere in a supermarket, and as the police were driving him away, they asked him what he did with the gun, and he told them where it was, and so the police were able to recover a loaded gun. But in that case, the danger to the public was immediate. And here, I think we're talking about potentially interviewing this guy, the younger brother, when he's wakes up in the hospital after the police have been satisfied that the immediate danger is gone. So I think it's a risk.
And when you say you think it's a risk and they're taking a chance, you mean that because they're not reading him his Miranda rights, they might not be able to prosecute him sufficiently?
No, I just mean that there's a chance that any statements he makes after giving an unmirandized statement might be suppressed. I don't necessarily think that that would be a huge bar to a prosecution here. They seem to have a lot of other evidence against this guy already.
I thought, was there a provision under the Patriot Act that would allow us to question him because the public safety is at risk and because there could be an affiliation with al-Qaeda?
No, there's nothing in the Patriot Act that really affects the Constitution or Miranda. I mean, the Patriot Act does give the government more investigative powers in a number of different ways, but it doesn't create any additional exceptions to Miranda.
If this kind of an attack had been carried out on U.S. troops, say, in Afghanistan, he would be considered, the perpetrators would be considered enemy combatants. The fact that it happened on U.S. soil, why does it change that?
It doesn't necessarily change it. I mean, there is a legal case you could make for treating this guy as an unlawful combatant and giving him a military commission instead of a civilian trial.
But in that case, there would not be Miranda warnings read, correct?
No, I don't think that is correct necessarily, actually. There are, you know, the Supreme Court has issued a number of opinions about military commissions, and military commissions now contain a lot of the same protections and rights for defendants that civilian trials do.
Wait a second. Are you saying in Iraq, if you catch a guy planting an IED, the soldiers are reading them their rights?
No, of course not.
So that's what I think the point is. I mean, what's the difference?
Well, the difference is in Iraq, obviously, the priority is not on preserving any statements for trial. The priority is on ensuring that the troops' safety. But I think that you could take that distinction a little bit far. I mean, here the immediate priority is not really geared toward making sure that you're preserving statements for trial. It's geared toward making sure that you've caught everybody and that the public safety is protected. I just think that once the smoke settles in this case, that the government would be taking a risk if they decide to go forward with an unmirandized interview.
Aitan Goelman, thanks for all the information. This is a very interesting case, particularly since we know that the guys did have an arsenal of weapons, IEDs, and you could certainly argue that we don't know if we've gotten all of them yet for the public safety.
Exactly. We don't know who trained them. We don't know if there's a bigger cell. We don't know if there's a second wave.
At this time, he has not been told that he has the right to remain silent, though. That's all we know. That'll be a big controversy in the days and weeks to come.